Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again.
To another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, he really likes his spinach puffs. Welcome, Jacob.
Ick. Gross.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
I could have said you were scary beyond all reason.
Well, I get that sometimes. You catch me at 2 a.m, like, okay.
Especially when you get hungry.
Yes, very much so.
But not quite for spinach puffs.
No. I get kind of hangry a little bit, so yeah. Either way, I'm letting the dog out of the cat tonight. Let's just get over that. Or in this case, the llama out of the bag.
Yes, let the llama out of the bag
and just let him hit every step
on
the way down.
Touchy.
Why? Thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who was suddenly transformed to an itty bitty kitty.
I don't have a good cat voice.
It was the best thing I could figure out in the last minute, but
fair enough.
Either right. All right. So I am doing fairly well. I'm a little tired. I'm a little meek about today, but it's gonna be all good. I've got a plow through to Friday, and then I am driving to. I know Drew was driving in the morning. I'm driving in the afternoon. We are going to a single street with our church, and we're gonna go chill out for 2-3 days. I'm gonna leave on Sunday because I would be back at work. Funsies.
But I feel so sorry for you, but can do nothing to help.
Yeah, exactly. But either ways, I'm doing pretty good. Desperately, I am wanting to go to sleep, but I'm here for the podcast, and we're gonna get through this. And so yes. So how are you, Drew?
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired myself, not as much as you are. But other than that, I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Nothing crazy going on. I did play some Psychonauts yesterday on stream.
I keep hearing about that all over the place.
Well, I mean, there was
Psychonauts 2.
Psychonauts 2 just recently came out, but I realized I had not finished the original. And so I thought that'd be a good one to do on the stream. That's why I'm doing it on Monday nights.
I got you.
So, yeah.
I got you.
So what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? I had it all planned, and it went poof as soon as you said it.
Of course, that's usually how this works.
Of course. I watched Star Trek 2009, J.J. Abrams. I was watching that this morning when I was getting ready for work. Of course, I watched like several films, some animated, some not. But overall, I just enjoy films. So just like, if it's a film I've watched and I can just watch it and like put it in the background or whatever, if it's a commentary on a film, I just put it on there because when I don't have internet in my house, my apartment currently, but I'm working on that. Other than that, I have pretty good. What about you?
Now, you said Star Trek 2?
Star Trek 2009.
Okay, so
J.J. Abrams,
the good of the Abrams ones. Gotcha.
Yeah, there's
with that poster on my wall over
there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, I just got distracted. No, the reason that I won that poster. I told you that story.
Yes, so, I'm fully aware of that.
What people don't know is above my television is a poster for Star Trek Into Darkness.
Which I like.
And it is the one with the Enterprise crashing towards Earth.
Yes.
Which is a cool shot. Don't get me wrong. I actually won that for a Star Trek trivia contest that I didn't even technically enter. But I couldn't shut up when they were asking me trivia questions.
That is true. Questions. You ask a Trekkie.
No, they didn't ask a Trekkie. I'll put it this way. I won when the guy was asking a question from an old Star Trek trivia game, and he got to the word Kronos.
Kronos, yeah.
Kronos.
That's right.
Close to Kronos, but Kronos. And the guy couldn't figure out how to pronounce it because it's spelled Q-U''NOS. So he's going, and I just went, it's Kronos, and they misspelled it, the name of in the movie. Because they spell it like the Greek Titan in the movie, which is not how it's supposed to be spelled. That is actually
didn't know that.
The Klingon homeworld. Anyway, fan theorying, that's not what this show is about.
Right.
Maybe I'll start a new podcast. I don't know. I have ideas.
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm kind of released from one thing we were doing. But anyway.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But, yeah, other than... we're on yours still.
Yes.
Oh, no, you just asked me what I'd been watching.
Yes, I did.
Sorry, I got off track.
It's fine.
Well, since you did not come to Bible study Sunday night at Chase's, because you were...
Packing.
You were packing?
I was packing.
For Friday?
No, for the week.
Packing for
because
the
I am.
week.
Well, I didn't.
Oh, that's right.
Because I am dog sitting this week.
I forgot you're dog sitting.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And you're probably going to that as soon as we get done recording. Make sure the dogs are fed.
Dog. Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah. Asher's a good dog.
That's good. That's good. Anyway, since you didn't come to that because you were packing.
Yeah.
You missed. Well, it was just me, Chase, and Goober. I say Goober not because I'm trying to.
That's just what we call him.
I'm not. Well, that and I'm not trying to track, but I don't know if he wants me to say his name over the internet. So, in respect of his privacy, I'm just going to call him Goober, which actually kind of sounds worse. But anyway,
it fits.
Since it was just the three of us, we didn't actually do Bible study. We ended up watching. Chase ended up introducing a show that came out earlier this year, apparently, called Resident Alien.
Oh, yeah, that's an Alan Tudyk film.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It is funny.
I can imagine.
I need to finish it. But, yeah, it was an interesting show. I enjoyed watching. I also finished the two-parter in Star Trek Discovery Season 3 called Terra Firma.
Yeah.
I did not expect to actually... that the episode... The character that those two episodes are about... And the thing is, this is one of those characters in a TV show that if a person has not watched... any of the show, you can't really talk about because it spoils way too many things.
I got you.
But I had not really liked this character.
Okay.
I actually was feeling when the character leaves at the end of that episode, presumably for good, because it's 3 episodes to the end. More than likely, that person's not coming back.
Yeah.
I actually was kind of sad, but then it's coupled with like this great Star Trek original series cameo. That was handled very well.
Original cameo
of a character.
Oh, okay.
But
I was about to say who from the original series is still alive.
Well, let's see. You've got Sulu. You've got Nichelle Nichols. You have who played Uhura. Walter Koenig, who who's the original Chekhov, is still alive.
And William Shatner, obviously, still alive.
William Shatner's still alive. Yes, for all that's worth. I think Mark Leonard, who played Sarek, is still alive.
I thought he passed away recently.
Spock died recently.
Yes.
Like in the last couple of years, last 10 years.
Yeah.
But I think Mark Leonard is still around.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much like the big uns that kept showing up.
Yeah.
But this was not this was a character who was in one episode, and technically with special effects and a sound clip, they were able to bring the character back, but have somebody else play him. Him/it. And I'm saying that not because I'm trying to respect a gender role or anything.
Okay.
I literally don't know what you call that thing from that episode.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm trying to say it in such a way where I do not spoil it.
Got it.
So, yeah. But let's just say it's from one of the most famous original series episodes that ever came out.
I got you.
Anyway.
All right.
So I watched that. What else have I watched besides Emperor's New Groove? And I think that's been about it. The only game I have been playing is I'm getting back into Final Fantasy XIV now that, time is starting to slow back down again and actually get time to do stuff I want to do and not just, all work and no play. But I did visit my parents this weekend and watched a couple shows with them. There's a show that they like to watch on Animal Planet called Lone Star Law.
Oh, okay.
Which is about Texas game wardens.
Interesting.
Actual Texas game wardens going around and, catching people who are, not fishing correctly or don't have their tags done or
I gotcha.
Fishing an alligator out of a Houston swamp that was blind. It was interesting. It's an interesting show. I actually suggest it. I know people like those people. That's the best way I know how to put it.
I gotcha.
And plus, there's been some episodes around us.
Okay.
Not directly this county, but near us.
Okay.
But yeah, That's pretty much it.
Alrighty.
So, what do we got in the news?
All right. So it's not much. DreamWorks Animation announced today. I'm not sure if this is dated correctly or not, but today, The Croods, a movie we just recently did, Family Tree series inspired by the hit film, The Croods: A New Age, which we haven't reviewed yet, which we will eventually.
Yes.
Will premiere on Peacock and Hulu streaming September 23rd with 6 episodes, which apparently that's the norm now.
Yeah. Now this is a separate show from the one they had on Netflix?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. It's basically surrounds the two families we get to know in the Croods
in the new movie.
Yeah, which I have not seen yet.
I have not seen it either.
All right, but I do have the movie now. All right, so in a really sad bit of news, Ed Asner. I knew I was going to say that wrong. Asner, 7-time Emmy winner, known for television of our Mary Tyler Moore Show and several others, and to animation lovers for his emotional voice, starring as Carl from Pixar's Oscar-winning feature Up. Died Sunday, August 29th, surrounded by family. He was 29 years old and was still working after being in the career over 60 years. That is insane.
Yeah.
The man has done so much work.
So yeah, I'm bringing up some of his roles on here.
Yeah, he played I saw one where he was J. Jonah Jameson in the original Spider-Man series.
Yeah, I saw that one in here. There's a couple others. He played somebody in a show I watched as a kid. He played a lot of characters, but there's one in particular I'm thinking. I just can't remember. He was Hudson in Gargoyles.
He was Hudson. He was Randy Goodness from
Justice J. League. Jonah Jameson. Apparently he was Burbank also in that one. I want to say he was in Freakazoid, but that may have been someone who was doing a sound-alike thing.
Could be.
Oh, no, he was Sergeant Cosgrove in Freakazoid. So yeah, one of the many voices of our childhood.
Yes, agreed.
And he's unfortunately passed.
Yes, just be like it's more that, but no, be like Ed Asner. You can definitely tell I'm tired because I'm just.
You're also tongue-tied.
I am very tongue-tied, and I'm trying to rush through it, and I shouldn't be rushing. All right, so woof. Which is very good. I haven't embarked on the show yet. That'd be very interesting.
This would be the fun night for it.
Yes, it would. It's like, what the heck's happening?
But stay frosty.
No, I don't want to say frosty. Be like, my tail freeze off. No way.
Anyway.
All right. So yeah, Ed Asner sadly passed away, but his roles, and definitely his role as Carl from Up, will be very much treasured for animation lovers and those who have grown up listening to his voice on Saturday morning cartoons and animation alike.
Indeed.
All right, so that's all I have in the news right now.
All right, well, then we need to jump into our spoiler-free section of our review of The Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
The first time I saw this was not in a theater. It was in a hotel room in Austin, Texas, when I was with about 30 other people who were watching it on a DVD. And you have to remember, this was actually the first Disney proper movie I had probably seen since Pocahontas. That's how big the gap was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, I wasn't big Disney at the time.
I got you.
And that was all these, and the other people in the room, they were all from my one act play in my freshman year.
Yeah.
Because I was in one act play all 4 years of high school. And we were alternate to state that year. So we got what was essentially a 4-day vacation from school because we had to be there in case they needed to call us up and be ready to go. But the chances of them actually needing us were slim to none. So we actually had to carry everything down to Austin that we would normally carry to a competition.
Yeah.
All the set pieces and all that stuff. And for the most part, all we did was just hang out, and the few people who had other UIL things went and did those.
Yeah.
But me, I had nothing else. So I was just literally hanging out and goofing off. And one night, at like 1 or 2 in the morning after, technically we should all have been in bed, but why would you do that?
Yeah. Bunch of high schoolers.
Someone said, hey, why don't we watch Emperor's New Groove? And I'm going, hey, what's that? I said, oh, well, it's this movie. And this was actually like the second DVD I'd ever watched too, by the way.
Yeah.
So they put it in and I absolutely loved it. It was funny. It felt like it was the shot in the arm I thought at the time Disney needed. Bear in mind, I hadn't seen Lilo and Stitch.
It wouldn't come out for another year.
I didn't even watch it when it came out. That one came out. As I was in that weird spot where it's like, oh, Western animation stinks.
Yeah.
It's all anime all the time if I was caring anything about animation.
Right.
But I was watching this and I thought, this is hilarious. This is funny. I can't believe I'd never seen this before.
Okay.
The second time I watched it was at the end of my sophomore year on a charter bus on the way down to Mexico for a mission trip.
Fun.
And so we watched it there, and of course I liked it again. So it's like, yeah, this was probably one of my favorite Disney movies, is what I was thinking at the time. And then I didn't watch it for like 10, 15 years until about a month ago.
Yeah.
When we watched it with a friend of ours, because he had never seen it.
Yes.
And he said, well, what do y'all want to watch tonight after Bible study? And I said, well, it sounds like what we need to watch is The Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
And so we did. So I actually didn't, I did watch it for this review, I watched it with the English description on.
Really?
So, it would describe everything that was happening.
Oh, okay.
Just because I have found that funny in the past on some things. This one was okay. Actually, this one you probably actually could have recorded it turned it into an audio drama, as well as good as it was done. But this is one of my favorites. I consider it a classic, and I think everyone should watch it. It is definitely good for kids. So yeah,
good deal. Like you, I didn't see it in the theaters. I was also on a mission trip. When I saw this first, we went to the little church I was at. We went to Lubbock to work on tracks. And what you do on a track is that companies put these together. They're gospel-centered tracks that you pass out. If you've ever been on a corner and someone hands you, a piece of paper, it tells you about Jesus, that's a track. So we were down there to put together tracks. And so we were staying in the church. And a girl I liked at the time, her fiance, I couldn't remember. I think it was fiance or, very close to getting married.
Yeah.
Was there, and I really liked her, really liked her. And so I was kind of jealous of everything, early 20s guy. Yeah. I was really immature back then. Let's say that. Thank the Lord. Hey, see what you get for Christmas.
Probably the same thing I got for you the last 2 years was a big fat nothing. Unless no, there was one white elephant gift I technically got from you.
That is true.
I don't remember what it was.
Me either. I'm too tired to think of it. But
anyway,
yeah. Either way. So we watched The Emperor's New Groove. No, correction. I'm mixing stories up. I apologize. Yeah. So either way, I wound up watching this. No, that's when I watched. I'm sorry. Let's rewind. Exactly.
Perhaps a retro rewind.
Yeah, maybe
to call out another show on one of our networks.
So I'm at the time I am staying with my brother and sister Daniel and Chelsea. Thank you very much. I was staying with them, and I had mentioned that I had never watched The Emperor's New Groove because I had watched Lilo and Stitch, and I love Lilo and Stitch, as anybody knows. Hint, hint.
Yes.
If you're watching, I'm pointing to my Stitch doll.
By the way,
no, there's not. So either way, so my dear sister-in-law Chelsea's, we're watching this movie now. So they pulled it up, watching it. It's the first time I'm watching it. It's like, wow, this is really good. And after the movie, my sister-in-law was like, so what do you think? I was like, well, it's pretty good. It's not as good as Lilo and Stitch. Now, granted, I've watched it at later times and watched it later on, but I've got a very fond appreciation from this film. It's like Lilo and Stitch and this film are two different films.
Oh yeah,
just definitely
not even in the same ballpark.
No, they're not. And Like, yeah, it is it is very much a Disney classic, or a kind of a forgotten Disney classic, because
it's in that same era as Lilo and Stitch and Atlantis: The Lost Empire, where people kind of were not paying attention to Disney.
Exactly. So we watched it at our friend's house, and it was like, okay, this is real. I mean, like, this is better than I remember. And then watching it again for the review, because I watched it again because I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like, yeah, this is really well done. I mean, like, you really don't like Cusco at first, and you start realizing he's, you know,
That's
kind of
the point.
I realize that. But yeah,
but
I
don't
enjoyed
worry,
it.
that something about that might come up in dislikes.
Just maybe. All right, so yeah, that is yeah, I enjoyed it. Is it family friendly? Yes. It is available. Yes. Go to Disney Plus, go watch it. And if you are subscribed to that, no piracy, please. Yeah, so that is my family friendly review, or non-spoiler review.
Spoiler-free review.
Yes. You can definitely tell I'm tired.
Yes, you are tired. But anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Let's continue this discussion then on the other side of the bumpers.
Mm-hmm. And
so join us for then, and maybe, hopefully you won't be knocked off your groove with our opinions of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget that you can download? Don't forget that you can, don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, The Cellcast, our Twitch channel, The Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And at our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. This podcast is part of the Culture Box Media Network. For more great content like this, go to the website in the description. There you will find other great shows such as Geek Devotions, which is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. You can find their content specifically at geekdevotions.com. Do you like trivia shows but wish you could stay a little longer with the contestants? Do you wish that if those contestants didn't know the answer from memory, they could Google the answers? Do you love finding out how many of certain objects fit between the Earth and the Moon? And do you want a game show that is completely unfair? Then might I suggest the Raw Quiz Show, where Ryan Ashley Wall pits and competes against 5 different combatants each season to see who is the true trivia champion. And you can find it over at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're listening to is also a part of. Go to the link in the description to find out more. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie The Emperor's New Groove. Listener discretion is advised. The Emperor's New Groove was written and directed by Mark Dindal, who also wrote and directed Chicken Little. It was also written by Chris Williams, David Reynolds, Doug Frankel, Mark Kennedy, and Mark Walton. The original story elements from the unfinished Kingdom of the Sun, in which this movie pulls pretty much all its world building from.
Yeah, also another DreamWorks movie.
Yes. That was done by Roger Allers, who directed The Lion King, and Matthew Jacobs, who directed the American Doctor Who movie.
Really? Wait, what?
There's an American Doctor Who movie. It was a pilot that ended up not getting off the ground.
The one in the 90s?
Yes, the co-production between the BBC and Fox.
Oh.
For a show essentially what would have been the 8th Doctor's run on that would have been done as an American show. It didn't last.
No.
And it went on hiatus. Then Doctor Who went on hiatus again until like 2005. There was only the one movie ever made.
Yeah.
And I've watched the movie. It's actually not bad. Keywords there.
Not bad.
Not bad. Cast for this movie includes David Spade, who played Emperor Cusco. He played Griffin, the Invisible Man, in the Hotel Transylvania franchise. John Goodman played Pacha. And I know him primarily as Bill Randa from Kong Skull Island. You know,
Yeah.
before the guy who's playing the Carl Denham of that, essentially. Eartha Kitt played Yzma, and she was the third Catwoman in the Batman 1966 television. And ironically, the one that was in the most episodes, I found out. Patrick Warburton played Kronk, and in the Netflix version of Series of Unfortunate Events, of Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events, he played Lemony Snicket. Wendy Malick plays Chica, and in the television series Just Shoot Me, she played Nina Van Horn. Kelly Kelso, who played Chaka, one of her only other roles was in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, where she played a little...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a... Is it a first?
No, we've had stuff like that before.
Yeah,
there's like
Power Ranger related.
No, we've had... Dude, we did like one that had like 30
that is true.
Power Ranger characters.
That is so true.
Because that was Digimon the movie, because they used the same voice cast.
Agreed. Thank you for reminding me. I'm tired.
It was your movie.
Yes, it was.
Eli Russell Linnetz played Tipo, and he played a character named Bryce in A Black Widow, which was one of his... I think it might have been his only other...
A Black Widow?
A Black Widow, not the movie Black Widow.
That's what I thought.
It looked like it was a television. I wasn't sure. Stephen J. Anderson played additional voices, and he played Michael Yagubian, a.k.a. the bowler hat guy, in Meet the Robinsons. The villain of...
Oh, okay. I've watched the movie before.
Yeah. And apparently, along with that, he was like one of the writers, what do you call it, the second Dark Ages Disney?
Oh, yeah, the
stuff between the Renaissance and Tangled, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. The 2000-aughts.
Yeah, the 2000-aughts. He did a bunch of the movies there. So, yeah.
Which, there again, be like, the second Dark Ages, like the 2000-aughts for Disney.
Yeah.
A lot of them were not bad. Because be like,
it's just they were not. There was some weak ones in there that I think discolored it for a lot of people.
Yeah. Home on the Range.
Yeah, we'll not go there. Well, I have to go there eventually, but we're not talking about that right now. Yeah. But for the most part, there was actually some good ones in there. It's just at the time when Pixar was really shining, people thought the thing was, and why would anyone watch that dirty 2D? I disagree. Anyway, Bob Bergen, who was both Bucky the Squirrel and the fly stuck in the web, played the character of Wolf, which was the streamlined dub name for Lupin the in Lupin the Third, the Castle of Cagliostro. Yes, because they couldn't use Lupin because of some copyright issue. The actual Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Thief franchise from like France. Roger Bumpus played some of the townspeople, and he is most well known for playing Squidward Tentacles and SpongeBob SquarePants. I will make you watch one of them. Robert Clotworthy was some of the guards, and he is the narrator of Ancient Aliens. Yeah! Jennifer Darling played female villager number 1, and she played the character of Ayeka in Tenchi Muyo and Love. Some of these I would have actually stopped reading if it weren't for the fact that I kept looking at they were. It's like, well, I've got to bring that up. Because that's how... When else their time? Patty Deutsch, or Deutsch. I actually don't know how you say her last name. She was the waitress. And in Tarzan, she played Tantor's mother. John Fielder was the old man. And he was Piglet in The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, dear.
That's the old man who got thrown out off the Emperor's Groove.
Beware the groove.
And when you recognize that's him, you will never unhear Piglet's voice in that scene.
I was watching it and I was like, wait a minute, why do I recognize his voice? Be like, it must be like an older actor from... Yeah,
because it's Piglet. And he's almost doing Piglet's voice.
Pretty much.
Miriam Flynn played the Pinata Lady. And do you know the Vacation movies? National Lampoon's Vacation, European Vacation, Christmas Vacation. There's another one, and that new movie that I don't count. Have you ever watched them?
I've watched.
Do you know who I mean if I say...
So you're talking about...
I don't remember his name.
I'm drawing a...
But you know the character I'm talking about.
I have family connections to that family.
Well, that character's wife, Catherine, was Miriam Flynn.
Oh, okay.
The theme song guy was played by Tom Jones, and he is the singer who created What's New Pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa! I had to bring that up.
Yeah, of course.
And then, of course, Mark Dindal had a cameo as... take a guess.
Mark Dindal.
Yes, the director of this film.
Okay.
If you had to take a guess as to what role would make a good cameo for this guy who you've probably never heard his voice except for in the director's commentary. I assume
It doesn't have it.
Oh, then never mind. So you have no idea.
No, I don't. I would guess Chef.
Nope. Chef was a different actor.
Okay.
I didn't have him on the list, but he was a different actor.
Okay. Then who?
Kitty.
What?
Yeah. Yzma as the cat.
Wait a minute.
Catform Yzma is the director of this film.
Wait a minute. Okay. So you have
You have Eartha Kitt,
who
is Catwoman,
and she's not
even
voicing
playing the cat.
What? I
Nope,
thought
that
something was off, and I was like, "What in the world?"
Because that's not a woman's voice coming out of that cat.
It's
although,
like, oh, really?
although he does have her vocal inflections down, I will say that.
Yes, I was like, "Oh, that's perfect." She turns into a cat, but it's not voiced by her.
The cat's not voiced by her. It's what's hilarious. Anyway,
Oh my!
Kingdom Hearts connections.
Of course.
Kathy Suchi, who has various uncredited roles in Emperor's New Groove, known for playing Sally and Shock and Sora's mom.
Oh, poor Sora.
Only has one line.
One line, and she never sees her
We
boy again.
never see her again. We don't even know if Sora has any other parents or if she's still alive when they end up back. Spoiler alert! They end up back at Destiny Island. Spoiler.
Right.
Rob Paulson, who you might know as Yakko, had various uncredited roles in Emperor's. And
Or I have to bring this. No, Donatello and Raphael from
That's true.
Turtles.
That is true. But in Kingdom Hearts, specifically Birth by Sleep, I had to think, he played Jacques and the Grand Duke.
So I do want to bring up one really thing, because there again, tiredness does that to you. I forgot one thing I was watching. I know it's a very, very weird place to bring that, because you brought up Rob Paulson.
Especially right in the middle of Kingdom Hearts connection.
Exactly. This is weird. But I have been watching a show, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003. Watched the season 1. It's great.
Okay. Jess Harnell, mostly known for playing Wacko Warner in Animaniacs,
Yes.
played one of the guards in Emperor's New Groove, and he played Dr. Finkelstein and Locke, plus additional voices. Robert Clotworthy played some of the guards here, and he was additional voices.
Right.
Andre Stochka, who played Topo in Emperor's New Groove, the Owls.
Okay.
And Eli Russell Lennox, the voice of Flounder.
Oh, okay. The cowardly fish.
Pretty much. Which brings me to the end of our cast crew list. So what do we got in info and stuff?
Be able to watch Disney Plus if you're a subscriber. It was by Walt Disney Pictures by Walt 2000. Box office estimate. It had an estimated 100 weekend for Canada was pretty at 9 December 17. Its U.S. and Canada growth was 18.6. Yeesh. That's terrible. It had a worldwide gross of 169.6. Is that good? It underperformed. All right, home release. The standard VHS and DVD first one. Along with a 2-disc collector's. It can songs, it can soundtrack, commentary from the movies. I did not get on the version which Drew allowed me to borrow, which I was really hoping forward to, but they didn't. I was borrowing. In September 2001, it was reported that VHS units were sold, amounting to 9. The DVD also sold twice. Overall revenue was $120 million in units. According to the Adams, Disney re-released a single disc on October 2005, digitally remastered neighbors on Blu-ray, June 11th, 2000, with bundle pack direct sequel Crunk Snoop. On its first weekend, 17,000 Blu-rays with a gross of $200,000. Regarding in April 2005, it was Studios was producing a Crunk Snoop Group, December 2005, followed by animated on Disney Channel entitled The Emperor's School. Patrick Warburg, Wendy Malick, thank you, repriser for the sequel, while Dave's character was John Goodman, actually, for the first and final. It's done fairly good for itself as a series.
It's not in its initial release.
Yeah, agreed. But it's like every other.
That was just a weird era for Disney where they just could not get in stick at a movie, and
they made television series out of everything.
Oh, yeah.
And sequels of everything.
Well, it still took them, 5 years to make 8th, the Disney tunes.
Yeah.
And what, another 2 years after that for Emperor's?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they waited 8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time in children's television to wait for a TV series.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
But it's because it took that long, I think, for people to come to appreciate the movie outside of the teenagers who fell in love.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I have for stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. In the Incan Empire, narcissistic Emperor Cuzco plans to celebrate his 18th birthday by raising a local village to build a lavish summer home called Cuzcotopia, much to the distress of village leader Pacha. When Cuzco lets go of his conniving advisor Yzma, she plots to take the throne by poisoning him at dinner. However, her dim-witted assistant Kronk instead accidentally laces Cuzco's drink with a potion that transforms him into a llama. Under Yzma's instruction, Kronk knocks Cuzco unconscious and attempts to dispose of him outside town. After a stroke of conscience prevents Kronk from casting Cuzco over a waterfall, he misplaces the bag containing Cuzco on Pacha's cart. Pacha returns home, but cannot bring himself to tell his family about Cuzco's plan. Pacha discovers Cuzco as he regains consciousness and declines to help Cuzco back to the capital unless he builds Cuzcotopia elsewhere. While Pacha initially allows Cuzco to wander into the jungle alone, he ultimately follows and rescues him from a pack of jaguars. Cuzco accepts Pacha's terms to guide him home, but attempts to leave Pacha dangling from an old bridge within an hour's walk from the palace. An altercation between them ensues after Cuzco also falls through the bridge, which results in the bridge's total collapse. Cuzco and Pacha cooperate to save themselves from dropping into a crocodile-infested stream. Meanwhile, Yzma discovers that Kronk has failed to eliminate Cuzco, and they both set out to find him. The pair arrive at a diner at the same time, unaware of the other's presence. While Cuzco argues with the cook, Pacha overhears Yzma's plan, and Kronk narrowly fails to recognize Pacha. Cuzco, oblivious to Yzma's treachery, brushes off Pacha's attempt to warn him and leaves, only to overhear Yzma and Kronk's machinations himself soon after. Realizing that no one in the Empire misses him because of his selfishness, Cuzco prepares to resign himself to life as a normal llama, but encounters Pacha walking amongst a herd and reconciles with him. Kronk, meanwhile, finally recalls Pacha and his connection to Cuzco. He and Yzma await them at Pacha's home, posing as distant family members. Pacha has his family delay Yzma, giving him and Cuzco a head start back to the capital. They find Yzma's secret lab and numerous transformation potions, but Yzma has taken the potion that would return Cuzco to normal. She orders Kronk to kill Cuzco and Pacha, but Kronk cannot bring himself to do so, and Yzma drops him through a trapdoor after he attempts to kill her instead. Yzma drops the human vial amongst a scattered collection of others, and she calls upon the palace guards to seize Cuzco and Pacha. A chase through the palace ensues in which Cuzco consumes different vials, changing into different animals. As Cuzco and Pacha are cornered on the ledges of a giant stone structure, they find they are down to 2 vials. Yzma knocks away the vials and uses one of them, but transforms into a small cat. Despite the transformation, she still manages to gain the upper hand in the struggle for the final vial, but is unexpectedly foiled by Kronk. Cuzco drinks it and returns to his human form. Having made amends with those whom he offended and regains his throne, Cuzco opts to build a summer home on a neighboring unoccupied hill. Sometime later, Cuzco joins Pacha and his family at his modest resort. Elsewhere, Kronk has become a scout leader and trains a new batch of scouts in the language of squirrels, including the reluctant Yzma, who remains a cat. Getting into the trivia for this movie was originally planned to have been a dramatic, sweeping Disney musical named Kingdom of the Sun, to be directed by The Lion King 1994 director Roger Allers and Mark Dindal, director of Turner's Cats Don't Dance from 1997, with 6 original songs written by Sting that was essentially an Incan retelling of Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper. David Spade was the voice of the young Emperor Manco. Owen Wilson, of all people, was playing Pacha, a young peasant with a striking resemblance to the Emperor. And Eartha Kitt was Yzma, the aged royal sorceress. The movie would have involved Manco and Pacha switching places, except that Yzma finds out, turns Manco into a non-speaking llama, and makes Pacha do her bidding. Pacha was eventually to fall in love with Nina, voiced by Carla Gugino, the Emperor's betrothed, while Manco, as a llama, learns humility in his new form and comes to meet a tough-as-nails female llama herder named Mata, voiced by Laura Prepon. When they team up to stop Yzma's evil plans, save the country from darkness, and end up falling in love with each other as the journey goes. The resulting movie tested very poorly, and the production was suspended even though the movie was 50% complete. Allers and Yzma supervising animator Andreas Deja left the project and moved to Orlando, Florida to work on Lilo and Stitch. During the production hiatus, Dindal and producer Randy Fulmer, storyman Chris Williams, and screenwriter David Reynolds completely overhauled the movie, eventually throwing out Wilson, the Prince and Pauper angle, the completed footage, and all but one of Sting's songs. As Roger Allers' take on the movie was starting to take shape, Disney management was becoming increasingly uncomfortable with the movie, feeling it was too similar to the story of the Prince and the Pauper. Test screenings, too, generated poor feedback. On the strength of this, Mark Dindal was hired to add more comedic elements to the movie. Dindal and Allers did not get along and essentially both began making their own separate versions. The Disney executives, although unhappy with Roger Allers' direction, held off from interfering with him, given that he had provided them with their biggest hit, The Lion King, which too had had a troubled production. Also, most of Allers' crew were very loyal to their director. By the summer of '98, it was increasingly clear that Kingdom of the Sun was not going to make its summer 2000 release date. Merchandising tie-ins with McDonald's and Coca-Cola, amongst others, meant that the release date could not be moved. Director Roger Allers asked for a 6-month extension of the release, which was denied. Allers then quit the project. With the movie on the brink of total shutdown, co-director Mark Dindal worked on a retooling of the movie. While he did this, most of his animators were reassigned to work on the Rhapsody in Blue segment of Fantasia 2000. The result of the retooling was the movie we have today. The story was rebuilt from the ground up, retaining Spade and Kit's characters, and creating a new, wackier movie that centered around Spade's talking llama, Yzma, and the two new characters, Pacha, now a middle-aged man played by John Goodman, and Krunk. Patrick Warburton improvised when Krunk hummed his own theme song when he was carrying Kuzco in the bag to the waterfall. Disney's legal department had Warburton sign all rights to the humming composition over to them, which is hilarious, at least to me. Pacha's wife, Chica, is pregnant. According to the DVD commentary, this is the first Disney animated feature to show a pregnant woman. Pacha's name means earth in the Incan language. This could refer to his round shape, his green poncho, or his down-to-earth personality. Two subtle visual jokes. When Yzma pours the drink into the cactus plant after Kuzco's neck transforms, the cactus turns into the shape of a llama. When Krunk is trying to hide in the background with Kuzco in the bag, the scene pulls back to reveal a painting of two pig figures pointing at Krunk. In the scene where Pacha is carrying Kuzco through the jungle, Pacha and Kuzco discuss Kuzco having low blood sugar. This is an in-joke about the fact that David Spade, who played Kuzco, is diabetic in real life. In the scene where Kuzco and Pacha are searching through the various potions, Pacha says lions, tigers, bears, and then come up upon the potion for humans. It is missing, and Yzma says, "Oh my." Together, this recreates a line from The Wizard of Oz. According to Randy Fulmer and director Mark Dindal, they were forced to use the joke, which they detested, by then head of feature animation Thomas Schumacher. Kuzco was named after the ancient capital of the Incas, which was also Cusco but spelled with a C instead of a K. The city still exists in the Andes Mountains in southern Peru at an elevation of 11,200 feet. The makers of this movie originally wanted to get Sting to sing the opening song, but he said he was too old. They needed someone more hip and younger. So they went with Sir Tom Jones, who was 11 years older than Sting.
Huh?
He did write My Funny Friend and Me, which included a music video from the movie. Sting's wife, Trudy Styler, made a documentary about the troubled making of this movie as part of the deal that involved her husband working on the movie. Her completed documentary, The Sweatbox, is owned by Disney and can be watched online on VidMe, which I haven't gotten a chance. It's also on YouTube, but
right.
I did also see it was on the Internet Archive.
So,
yeah. The image on the back of the diner menus is a parody of the mascot of the Big Boy restaurant chain, which is popular in the Burbank, California area where Disney studios are located. And Yzma usually wears purple, a color often associated with madness and royalty. True to life, purple is considered a less likable color in some cultures. An example of this would be that purple is seen as the color of death in Japan. And that brings me to the end of the trivia. So, what's your first like?
My first like, kind of pulling a U for a moment.
Me, okay.
Pulling a U. It's the redemption of Cusco. It's the fact that, like, okay, like, not the greatest of redemptions, Be like, yeah, Cusco, he's a very selfish, very spoiled prince.
More on my thoughts here when we get to dislikes.
Yes. But the idea that he turns around a little bit, he sees the error of his ways. Not really, but it's just this idea that a man who is so incredibly selfish, and he sees the kindness and goodness of a man who is, below his status, is willing to do anything does in all his power to save his village. And Cusco sees that. He sees that, and so he sees that his selfishness isn't really, and plus him and Pacha kind of just gel as two characters. I enjoyed that aspect of it's kind of like yeah, he's still like a very selfish person, but he's seen the error of his ways, and he's changed in a way. But I'm not going to say he's the redeemed archetype, though he's completely changed his ways. But it's like it's a pseudo redemption. Yeah, so it's fine.
My first is that this is not your typical Disney. They went to pains to make it not your typical Disney movie. I mean, we talked about last time when we did, not last time, but time before last, when we were doing Atlantis: The Lost Empire, how they were all wearing shirts that said less singing and more explosions. This one, they only have one song, and it's the only song that works.
Yeah,
from what I can tell. Almost everything here is centered around jokes. There's actually very little, I would say, actual story in this. There is story, don't get me wrong. There is a strong plot line from beginning to end, but for the most part, the plot here is kind of serving as a way to get you from joke to bit to funny thing to what will Krunk say this time. Which sounds like I wouldn't like it, but it works here. I think it's it was definitely a breath of fresh air at the time.
Right.
But I noticed a couple other weird little things. For instance, we agree here that Yzma's the villain, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you think of another movie where the villain looked like they fell to their death from falling from a very tall palace that we saw in the last year?
Something more like, I don't know, Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, when Gaston fell to his death.
Yeah.
And we didn't see, we assume he died.
Yeah.
They didn't show that. And so you see Yzma in cat form fall, and you just assume, at first, if you've never seen this movie, Yzma's dead.
Yeah.
And then you see the vial fall, and it's like, well, I guess Cusco's going to have to learn to be a llama for the rest of his life. And I don't think that's ever actually happened.
Yeah.
In a movie where someone was forced just to go on with their lives. No, wait, technically didn't, it would be after this, and I have not seen The Princess and the Frog, but didn't that not exactly turn out the way the main characters, even though you claim they still got a happy ending?
Yeah, they got a happy ending.
They got a happy ending, but it was not the happy ending they were thinking they were going to do. Is my understanding.
They did get the happy ending they wanted.
It was my understanding they did not return to being human in actuality.
I don't want to spoil the film, so...
But still, you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
You think, okay, so Cusco's going to have to learn to be a llama for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And then the camera shifts down to a trampoline salesman saying, I told you, we didn't ask for a trampoline. Well, you could have told me that before I set the whole thing up. Yeah! And she catches the extract of human as it's going up, and she does that. Bam! And you actually hear you actually can hear the Doppler effect.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, we've entered. That was just first form boss fight. Now we're entering second form.
Right.
Because this is not even my final form. Which doesn't happen that much in Disney movies, but there is where that happens. So.
That is true.
So you're thinking, okay, maybe this is where we're going. Nope, she hits her head against the concrete. She drops, not concrete, but the stone, drops the potion, and she gets kind of knocked out. She wakes up enough to where, Cusco and Pacha, they're racing to try and get it before she can come down and get it.
Yeah.
And she does get it.
Yeah.
Until...
Krunk.
And why was Krunk coming out that one little hole? Because that's where the tunnel went, the trapdoor went, that she dropped him down. Yeah. It's like, so he came out and smashed her, and then they got a hold of the potion. It's like, okay. So it's like, the villain didn't die. that doesn't happen that often in Disney movies.
No, it doesn't.
Because usually the villain gets their just rewards of death.
Minus she stays forever as a little blue cat.
You say that. I've seen the other image on that thing that shows this from the sequel, and she somehow has her human form back. I'm guessing she can at least remake essence of human.
I don't know.
We don't know. I haven't watched the movie yet. But she doesn't get killed. She doesn't even get exiled. As far as we could tell, her punishment is stuck being a cat and having to go to Krunk's Squirrel Scout lessons and learn to speak squirrel, which is hilarious. Here, squeak, squeak, squeakum.
Squeak.
Which was, you owe me another acorn. Which is funny. Anyway, you get all these elements where it's like, you think it's going to go one way, and there's even some spots where you think, okay, now's the time when you expect Sting to come in with the moving thing to show the montage. No, we don't get a montage. We just get, we're going to the diner now to have the diner joke scenes, which is kind of fun. Or we do get a montage of them trying to get back, but then it's kind of completely ruined because it's short, because there's only 2 segments of the actual montage.
Yeah.
And it just ends when they get struck by lightning and fall into this pit. And then they show up at the end like they always do in these films. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Kuzco asks, how did you get back here before us? And she's about to answer and goes, wait,
How did we get back here?
Brooke, how did we get back here? Well, I don't know. It just kind of breaks all the rules of continuity if you think about it.
That's one thing I do love about this film.
It knows not to take itself serious. It's telling a story, but the story is literally there. And you get this thing about, be kind to everyone and how important family and friends are. That is there. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, we just going to tell this story about all these things. And it's pretty much just going to be enough to get you from joke to joke to joke.
Agreed.
And even with that, you get 2 really good heart squeezers.
Agreed.
Where it's like, okay, we get that bit where it's like Potch is coming back. And he's like, we've all just been kicked out of our home, and then you've got that shot of Kuzco walking up on Llama thinking, and he's gonna go, this is my life from now on. And it's like, you feel sorry for these characters in a movie that's not really needing you to feel sorry for characters,
right?
But it gets you attached enough to these 2 main characters. It's like, okay, I will accept this enough to go from joke to joke. And then you got Krunk.
Agreed.
But I'll get more to Krunk in a minute. What is your second like?
My second would be the bridge scene. The bridge scene where Kuzco and... what's his name?
Pacha.
That Kuzco and Pacha, they're crossing the bridge. Pacha. I'm tired. Pacha falls through. Kuzco laughs. He turns his back and he falls on the bridge. And it's just these 2 characters who are extremely mad at each other now. They're fighting each other through the bridge. Yes. And they fall through. They have to work together to get back over the bridge, get back to safety from being devoured by crocodiles. Mm-hmm. And I just love that scene. It's so much
scorpions.
Fun. Yeah, and scorpions. And bats. That just like the comedy gold in this movie is just perfect. Now, honestly, I'm kind of weird when it comes to comedy. Just a little. But I think just the way they play the comedy in the movie is it's gold. It's funny. And I'll get to that in my third later on. So what is...
Yzma and Krunk are the comedy duo of the century, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
I mean, you've got Krunk, who you would think is the straight man, but honestly, I think Yzma is more the straight man in this relationship, because you just don't know what stupid thing's going to come out of Krunk's mouth next. And, of course, Krunk's got his shoulder angel and demon.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes. All right. I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should just walk away. 1, look at that guy with his little stringy instrument thingy. We've talked about this. It's called a harp. Yeah, that's a harp, and that's a dress. Robe. Second of all, hey, look what I can do. And he's just, he's doing one-handed push-ups.
Vertical
push-ups.
Yes.
And Krunk asks the question we're all thinking, what does that have to do with it? And the angel goes, no, wait, he's got a point. It's like, does he? I don't know. And then the best one is when they come back at the end. Mm-hmm. When Krunk's trying to decide, well, do I side with Yzma or do I side with Kuzco? Because Yzma's kind of been being a jerk right now. You're talking about killing the guy, and then the shoulder angel and demon comes back. Actually, it's just the demon first.
Mm-hmm.
He says, hey, where's the other guy? He says, and then the other guy shows up, and, he starts talking to him, trying to figure out what to do. And Yzma looks over, obviously, because they're obviously all hearing this, but they're not seeing the angel and demon cross.
Yeah.
She looks over at Kuzco and Pacha, and doing the whole, what's up with this guy kind of look. And they're just shrugging their shoulders. And finally, she just has it. And says, I don't know why I thought I could trust you to do it. And she starts ragging on him. And every couple of seconds, the demon's going, the demon guys they're all getting hit with this, and they're all being affected by it, to the point where the angel and demon kind of put their differences aside. Uh-huh. The angel is comforting Crook. Yes, your spinach puffs are good. And the demon guy cocks his trident. It says, all right, she's going down. It's like, this should not be funny, and yet it's hilarious.
Yes, I agree.
And then she gets rid of them both by dropping the trapdoor. Crunk goes down, the angel and demon hug each other, and then they fall down. And then that's until Crunk shows up at the end of the movie. That's the last we see of the character.
Yes.
But even then, you've got the whole thing where she's trying to decide, how she's going to get back at the Emperor for firing her. And he's, Crunk is putting the things down so she can smash these clay heads of his with a hammer. And, he's saying all these things that are actually fairly smart, but she's up anyway. And she says, I know what to do. Let's go to the secret lab. They go to the lab. Pull the lever, Crunk. Shrunk. Run, lever! Which brings best joke. Why do we even have that lever? Which gets repeated at the end when Kuzco... all we get is the rain hitting the thing. You know they're going back. And you just get the shot of the door opening, and Kuzco and Llama-tastic goes, why does she even have that lever? And they go down this Disneyland water slide.
Yes.
Into their secret lab. And she says, how am I going to do it? Oh, I'm going to come up with a super convoluted plan that starts with turning him into a flea. And then we're going to put that flea in a box. And then we're going to put that box in another box. And then I'm going to mail that box to myself. And when it gets here, I'll smash it with a hammer. It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I tell you, genius, I say. And she hits the potion, the killer potion, as I'm going to call it, and it causes a small explosion, and she goes, and she stops and thinks, says, or to save on postage. It's like, yeah, that's the only reason you get rid of the old plan, to save on postage. Says, I'll kill him with this. Take it, Crunk. Feel its power. Oh, I feel it. It's dinner time. Those two, like I said, they are the comedy duo of the century.
Agreed.
It's between them and Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers, if we're being honest.
Okay.
At least as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
But yeah, Yzma and Crunk are honestly the funniest villain duo, if you even want to call Crunk a villain, for the entire movie. Villain henchman setup for like almost all time. So yeah, Yzma and Crunk is my second like.
All right. Yeah. Along those same veins, my third is definitely Crunk and Yzma. Definitely, I'm stealing yours because it's just so good, and they're comedy gold. Like every scene they're in, they're stealing it. Hook, line, and sinker. Like the fact to be like they overpower like even our main characters.
Yeah,
they
should have won if we're being honest.
Exactly, but this is this is Kuzco's movie, but
the power of comedy.
Yeah. The power of comedy, exactly. Like all those scenes you described are gold. Mm-hmm. They're gold. They're classic.
Oh, I forgot the best one.
Which one?
It's nighttime. You see Yzma's big, huge tent on the left.
Oh my gosh, that scene.
And Crunk laying on the floor with that one small tent covering his legs, we'll say.
Yeah.
And it's zooming in, and Crunk sits up and goes, that peasant. He didn't pay his check. And he falls back asleep.
Yes.
Like, okay. Is that it? And then it goes right back and says, wait. That's the peasant who I dropped. Such says, "Oh, that's Pacha. If we go to Pacha's house, we'll be able to get Kuzco." Mm. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. And he opens Yzma and goes, "Yzma," and she goes, "What?" And she's of course got the green makeup mask on and the cucumbers over her eyes.
And they fall off.
It's like, this had better be good. Sorry, I had to hit on this.
No, you're good.
I also love how her tent is bigger than the backpack she was being carried in by.
Agreed. The fact that Yzma is voiced by Eartha Kitt And it's like when I learned that, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what? This is crazy. And then Warburg plays
Patrick Warburg.
Patrick Warburg plays Krunk.
This was the first movie I'd seen with Patrick Warburg.
Yes, same here. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, this is really cool. But
and yes, he posed that entire humming thing he was doing.
Yes.
And they had Disney Legal forced him to sign all the rights away. It's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But anyway.
It's
sorry.
Disney. They have to have all their...
It's fair. It's just, if I don't hear... If there's ever a Kingdom Hearts level based on... Good night. I would pay money for any Kingdom Hearts game, but...
Of course.
I would really love to see this one. It's like... Because you could actually make... This would actually make a good Kingdom Hearts, in my opinion. But more on that at another time.
Yeah.
I better hear... That better be how the level starts. It's Krunk getting Kuzco out of the temple and doing that hum. I don't remember the...
Yeah.
Because, he's just making it up as it goes along.
It's like, wait, he's doing a theme song?
Yes. He's got his own theme song. I'm so glad I was a part.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a Krunk and Yzma as this comedy villain duo. And it's like, yeah, I would really agree that, wow, I'm tired. Our villains are probably like, they steal the show, and it's just amazing that this movie is... It's not forgotten, but it's more. It's the 2000 aughts movies that people are just kind of like.
It's not forgotten. It's just not remembered.
Yeah, it's not remembered as well. But now it's kind of like a resurgence.
Yes,
because I have a lot of people to be like, "Have you watched Treasure Planet yet?"
That might be next year. We haven't really planned out next year yet. In fact, we haven't planned out October yet.
We're working on it.
November's set. I've got all 4 of those movies right up here. Mm-hmm. But or December or January. But anyway, we'll probably do Treasure Planet sometime next year.
Yeah. Either way, yeah, it's the villains. I just love the villains in this movie. It's great. And then she gets turned into a cat.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, that's just...
I win. Poosh!
Wait, what? Either way.
Is that my voice? Is that my voice? Oh, well.
All right, so that is my number 3. So going into dislikes.
No, I still have my 3.
Oh.
My third like. You went first, right? My third like. Pacha's family.
Right.
Topo, Tipo, and Chaka? Is that her name?
I think Chaka.
Anyway, those 3 are if Yzma and Krunk are the comedy duo of the century, they are like runners up because as a comedy group.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got one of my favorite scenes, of course, is when Tipo wakes up in the middle of the night from a nightmare, and the mom comes over and says, "Did you have a nightmare, sweetie? What's wrong?" Says, and then he describes the last scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that's funny and all. Okay, so and then the sister comes. Well, in my dream, Daddy had to French kiss a llama. It's like, oh, like that would ever happen? It could. Nuh-uh. Yeah. Night, Mom. That is funny.
Yes, it is.
And then, of course, the coup de grace is when Yzma and Krunk get involved with them.
Oh my gosh. Tarred and feathers scene. That was great.
that whole scene where
they're locked in the closet.
They're locked in the closet. From the start, they're locked in the closet until Yzma is a pinata down the hill. It's like, oh, there's the tar. There's the feathers. There's the ramp. And are you ready, children? And go. It's like, an 80-year-old woman, you are killing her. And I don't care. Oh. Right. And then you've got Krunk dealing with for the most persons. All right, here's my version of the double dutch. When I give the signal, we all switch places. Krunk, now's the time. Alrighty. Zoink. 99 monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and broke his head.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even bring up Bucky.
The squirrel.
The squirrel. Anyway, I'm not going to get into Bucky, but Bucky's funny too.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I have to include these ones because they're the moments that I will remember when I've forgotten the rest of the movie.
Agreed.
Because they're hilarious. They're great sight gags. It's this kind of stuff I would love to see more on in some movies. Don't get me wrong. I love the big sweeping stuff we got in the 90s and some of the stuff we get nowadays. But I mean, we think ahead further past this movie. other movies we've really liked. So
Yeah.
I feel Tangled is the combination of Emperor's New Groove and kind of the Beauty and the Beast style of it's this big sweeping story, but yet we're still going to stop and have fun with the comedy.
Yeah, agreed.
It's never going too far either direction.
Agreed.
And that's what makes the movie, I think, so good.
Agreed.
Frozen does the same thing.
Agreed. Yeah, Frozen.
But I still prefer Tangled.
Yeah, Frozen not so much. I feel like it does have its comedy moments.
Frozen
but
2 does.
Yeah, Frozen 2 does have a lot more comedy.
Or did you forget Olaf playing charades and having to be Elsa when she was singing Let It Go and swaying his hips wildly?
Yes, I remember. I remember very clearly. I watched the movie recently.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Dude. Anyway.
Yeah, either way.
Dislikes.
What
is your first?
My first is like, it's a world that's feels kind of empty. There's not a whole lot of people in it.
Yeah.
There's like we have
this could be a stage play.
Yeah, quite literally. Like you have the village, which you don't see anybody except for the family until the very end. You have the Emperor's Palace, Cusco's Palace, and they're like, yeah, you see that one dude
one dude, and you see all these guards, but the guards are copy paste.
Yeah, that's it. There's no like originality anywhere. Like it's a large world that's very void of characters, except for our main characters. That's it. And everybody else is like copy paste, generic character in the background. So it's a great world building, but there's no one in it except for just like the characters we're interested in. There's no little like except for the squirrel, of course.
Yes.
And that's the weird thing because like the idea that the typical Disney princess could talk to animals.
Yes,
and Kronk could talk to animals. I just found that kind of hilarious.
I'm not going there.
Yeah, no. I can see where your brain's going. It's like, no. No.
Nope, he's not because he's not a princess. Anyway.
No. He's not a prince either.
No. Oh, he could be.
Could.
He found a princess.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Either way. What's your number one?
My number one dislike, Kuzco is a villain for too long in this.
Yeah, I agreed.
Because here's the thing. You mentioned he was his redemption arc.
Yes.
I'm going to get to more of what I have against his redemption arc later on.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, he's a hated character for too long in this movie. Yes, when you have a redemption story, you need to have the main character be a total jerk.
Yeah.
The nicest word I can use in this moment. You need him to at least start off that way so that he can grow to being the hero he's supposed to be.
Right.
But here, all the way until the diner scene, he is just a villain. He is as much a villain as Yzma, to the point where you're wondering, who is actually the villain here? Is Yzma actually the good guy for getting rid of the guy who's not running the kingdom very well?
Yeah.
I mean, she could be an old princess, but she could technically roll. I mean, she has technically the queen for a while.
Right.
Or empress, I guess, technically.
Yeah, empress.
But, queen role.
Yeah.
So maybe this is all for the better, especially if this goes where, he's going to have to learn to be a llama for the rest of his life, which is not where it went. But he's, for a good 3/4 of the movie, yeah, you're rooting for Pacha as the hero, not because he's a good guy, even though he is. It's because he's the only good guy.
That's true. For most of the film,
for 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
Krunk is a villain only because he's working for the bad guy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he's meant as a joke character anyway, so that's not really a problem. We are supposed to, when Kuzco becomes a hero at the end, we're supposed to feel as if he earned it through everything he went through and everything he learned. Honest, we're going to get more to this in a minute. My second dislike, I think he did.
Okay.
I think the transition is a little unearned. Anyway, what's your second dislike?
I would agree with you in some ways. That, like, yeah, he does change a little bit. Like a very little bit. Like, I mean, like he values.
He has a radical change by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
but he has so very little change from the point of the beginning of the movie until he hears Yzma and Krunk at the diner.
Yeah, and
very little change.
Yeah, that's true, but it's a change that's needed for the character. I wouldn't say that his redemption arc wasn't a full redemption. Because there again, I haven't seen Krunk's New Groove.
I haven't either.
So I have no idea how this character plays out in that movie. He could be the exact same character he was in the very beginning. But either way, yeah, I agree to disagree with that point. But
I just don't feel he makes enough change. But he learns that Yzma and Krunk are actually out to kill him.
I agree with that. No.
That's just my opinion there.
Yeah,
anyway,
your opinion is very valid.
What's your second dislike?
My second dislike is the pad to come up. All right.
Oh, I was confusing my dislikes. I'll go ahead and touch on the end of the problem I had with Cusco, because I looked at it again and realized, what I thought was a second dislike is actually part of my first.
Okay.
Go ahead. Like I said, he turns too quickly. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think it's unearned because, and it's not just make a slight degree change till he realizes what's going on. It's like literally he's moves a degree when he saves Pacha from the falling cliff. Yeah. And then he makes a complete 180 once he realizes how horrible a person he's been. Now, granted, once a person realizes how horrible a person has been, I can see that being a good, I can't think of the word because I'm tired. But it's a good way, it's a good trigger to cause that big of a change.
Yeah.
But it feel like it's too big a change because it's a complete 180. The only way that would work is if Cusco got saved while he was out in the forest. And I don't think the Christian missionaries had made it to South America by that point. Especially not the Incan Empire.
No.
So I don't think that's what happened.
And plus the Incan Empire dissolved before that.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's more Aztec than anything.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go with, it's too much of a change for what time he's got.
Yeah. And
I don't even think the change is earned from a story point of view.
Yeah.
So your second dislike. Well, my apologies.
Yeah, you're fine. If we were to watch Crunk's New Groove and see how Cusco acts in that, I would definitely see if his redemption or his turnaround was valid, or is it simply like, oh, let's go back to very selfish, very kind of villain-esque character Cusco was. Mm-hmm. So it's to be seen if, he really did change.
Yeah.
My second dislike, and you mentioned it earlier, and I was gonna like, what? Really? This is not right at all. Eartha Kitt is not the voice of the cat. I was like, what? Are you kidding me?
That could not have been on your dislike list before we started.
No, it wasn't actually. I mean, I had the smallest list, and you're going through it, and it's like, you know what? I don't like that. Let's write that down. So yeah, it's
not the best use of a director cameo.
No, it's not.
It would have been nice if Eartha Kitt would have just kept going with Cat as Kitty Yzma, but
she played Catwoman in the 69.
We should have at least gotten some in her cat form saying something was like, "This is a perfect." I'll transform back into my beautiful self. She should have said, but I'll use this to transform into my perfectly beautiful self. That would have been funnier. That would have been so much funnier, especially if it was coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, agreed. It was
because I remember when I had seen the DVD version and I'd watched the commentary. That's how I knew that was Catwoman from early on, because they said, "Oh yeah, the reason we decided to turn her into a cat is because she was Catwoman." It totally makes sense. It just makes perfect sense. Anyway,
yeah, it was when you said that, I was like, really? It's not Eartha Kitt? Because listening to it now, it's like, yeah, that's definitely not Eartha Kitt.
Because that's not a woman's voice.
That's not a woman's voice. It's a man's voice. There again, like you said before,
too much bass.
Yeah, all about that bass.
Yes.
But that was just slightly disappointing because you had gold right there. Like, why didn't you do it? Or at least a combination of the two voices or something. Like, the director could have been a voice of someone else, not the cat.
Could have made him the chef, like you said.
Exactly, he should have been the chef, not Yzma's cat form.
Or the villager that says, hey, Pacha, you missed your relatives. How would you describe her? Scary beyond all reason.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that was such a disappointment, because you had gold right there to use a reference that,
and you kind of ruined it.
That most people, and they ruin it. Like you said, it was just so disappointing. So yeah, that was my second dislike, that Eartha Kitt was not the cat.
All right, my second dislike.
Yes.
Narrator Cusco for 2/3 of the movie.
Right.
That he's in it. I do consider this a separate character than Emperor Cusco.
Yeah,
even though they're supposed to be the same guy.
Right.
But he is so annoying.
Of course.
The movie. And to some degree, Cusco is supposed to be annoying.
Yeah.
But so many times they would have, when they do the narrator trope in a movie, they at least have the narrator kind of grow along with the character on screen.
Yeah.
No, he's the same jerk from the beginning of the movie that regular Kuzco was, and he's like that all the way till Emperor Kuzco tells him, just shut up and leave me alone.
Yeah.
When he's, when we catch back up to the first scene.
So in that same way, if it's Kuzco narrating his story.
Right, but this is some other character that happens to be Kuzco-esque.
Yeah.
It's like Kuzco's inner... It's kind of Kuzco's inner monologue, but it's done by it's done by his ego. It's really Kuzco's ego.
Yeah, I agree.
If we're being honest.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't give up at the end. And that Kuzco's ego is so annoying throughout this film.
Agreed.
The worst part for me, I know this is meant to be a joke to lighten things up because we'd been, in a funk for like 2 or 3 minutes as Pacha's coming home from the first time. And the film comes to a dead stop. Narrator Kuzco in llama form pops his head and says, just so everyone remembers, I'm in the sack. Don't listen. This movie's not about him, not about Pacha.
That was
it's
annoying.
me in the sack. And then he's got the marker and he draws it, and then he cuts back in and starts to cross out the X he put over Pacha. It's like, this joke's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's one thing when Crunk drops Kuzco into the river and the camera zooms out continuously to the monkey and the bug.
Yeah.
And narrator Kuzco asks a very good question. What's with the chimp and the bug? Can we get back to me?
Yeah, that is true.
And the whole part there at the beginning where he says, well, if we go all the way back, we'll see how this all started. And of course, it goes back to Kuzco as a baby. And he says, oh, look at me. It's me as a baby. And then the monkey gets its head, monkey plush, Kuzco, and they give him a bunch of these other ones, which is actually a great scene if narrator Kuzco is supposed to be feeling embarrassed about, the amount of how spoiled he was, which is what that scene is showing.
Yeah.
He's not embarrassed. It's like, okay, yeah, we saw this. Let's move on. He doesn't care.
Agreed.
It should have been played like, okay, yeah, that's embarrassing. Let's move on with the story because this doesn't paint me in.
Right.
He doesn't even care that it doesn't paint him in a light, which is what gets to me. And narrator Kuzco, I think, was the worst decision to do here, or at least it was not handled very well. So, yeah, that's my second decision.
Okay.
What is your third, or do you have any?
Oh, okay. So, Yzma becomes Empress of the Empire.
Yes.
Because Kuzco is literally pronounced dead.
Uh-huh.
And so where does that transition go? Be like the fact be like, okay, be like he's turned back, but then everything's back to normal. Like, even though it's more of one of those nitpicks. It's like, okay, so when does
they make a big to-do about Yzma taking over?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, he's the former emperor, they just wipe him out.
Right. But at the end, it's like, oh, he's the emperor again, and no one cares. Yzma's gone.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because of the major time jump.
Yeah.
Because I get the feeling there had to be at least another 2 or 3 days of them repainting everything.
Oh, yeah, they definitely had to do a little
And they
jumping.
obviously have a way of doing it fast because you can tell none of them actually care.
Yeah.
It's all just a job for these people. I mean, even the mourner service, they don't care.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, because we have to mourn this emperor we didn't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I completely agree that Kuzco is not a good guy. He's not a good guy at all for most of the film. Yeah, and he gets a sudden turnaround because he realized we were trying to kill him.
Yeah, and Yzma's just more of it for these people.
Yeah.
In reality.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, agreed.
My third dislike. Exactly how far is it between Pacha's hut and the palace?
Yeah, that's a stretch.
You get at least one scene where it shows that Pacha had to go over a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It takes him an evening to get there.
But here's the thing. That mountain is, from what we can tell, on the palace side of the rickety bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're at the rickety bridge, on the way back, Pacha says, we're only an hour from the palace.
Yeah.
So it only takes an hour to go over a mountain?
Apparently.
Or through a mountain pass?
Yeah.
And even then, now it's going to take them 4 days to get to the palace?
Yeah.
And yet they still have enough time after they've, kind of gone over to wherever that diner is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Kuzco feeling sorry for himself once he realizes everyone's trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have time to run all the way back to Pacha's house.
Yeah. At the top of this mountain.
And then on the other side of a mountain, over on a hill somewhere that's far enough away you can't see the palace from the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entire, they get back to the palace via montage, if we're being honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a very well done montage, especially with the last joke of the montage. But it's like, okay, how far actually is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it an hour? Is it 3 hours away? Is it a day away? Is it a 3-week journey? I don't need an actual physical hard number, but I need to get the feeling that it's going to take the same amount of time for Pacha to go from the palace to his house as it's going to take for Pacha and Cusco to go back to the palace if they had been able to take a straight trip.
Right.
And I don't get that feeling.
Right.
So yeah, it seems like the distances here are all rubber, and that messes with me.
Yeah. Because to take the example of what I said earlier, where Pacha has unconscious Cusco in his cart.
And he stays unconscious the entire trip back.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes roughly an afternoon to get there.
Yes.
And so they say now it takes 4 days because the bridge was out. I understand it'd be like you have to take detours.
I can see a detour causing a 4-day drift. Don't get me wrong, because you probably got to go all the way over to the next bridge, and the closest bridge could be 3 days away.
Yeah, it could be another like a day walk.
Yeah. And obviously they're going to have to stop and get dinner, so that's going to take some time. But
and comedy pursues.
Yes. But here's the other thing. They get back to the bridge because they know time is of the essence, and they zip line.
Yeah.
You couldn't have done that before. I guess you maybe not had the rope and the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Maybe, but that seems to be fairly close to town because they were able to get from there back
But there's nothing to grapple on with that bridge. It's simply just a ravine.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you shooting for the tree that's
he
like
does
4 yards out?
He does shoot for the tree on the other side.
Yeah.
With the rope tied onto the arrow, which a part of me is going, I don't know if that would work nowadays, much less in the time period this movie's supposed to be taking place. I get that it's a joke.
Agreed.
Because, I mean, like literally 3 seconds later, they're asking Yzma how she got there before them, and she has no clue.
Agreed.
So, I mean, I get that it's a joke, and I'm not supposed to take it seriously, but there's some serious logistical issues that the comedy is supposed to just wipe it away, and I'm still going, can I at least get a firm idea as to how physically far the palace is from the village?
Yeah, give me a geological timing to where
not too much of a timing. I just give me a rough estimate.
Yeah,
a 5-hour trip if the bridge is out. If the bridge isn't out, and if the bridge is that important, if the bridge is that rickety, how did Pacha get across it and back across it? Because he had to make that trip twice.
Yeah,
with a llama-drawn cart without breaking the bridge.
Yeah.
If it's that rickety, how did he pull that off?
Well, it could be like it's an old bridge. Like the fact to be like it's been crossed over and over and over again. Yeah. So, sorry.
Plus, especially when he's coming back, he's got bags full of grain and an unconscious llama.
Yeah.
And a walking llama plus him, and he ain't a small guy.
No. And
the bridge held up under that much weight, maybe because it was spread out a little instead of Pacha where it's kind of, centered more.
Yeah.
It's still.
Yeah, it's also built. It's designed for a comedic gag.
And I get
that's what designed
I get
for.
that. I get that. It's just there's a part of me when bear in mind, watched the movie, didn't care.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going, well, wait a minute. How does all this work? And it's like, you're thinking too hard.
Yeah.
Make like Elsa
and let it go.
Anyway, I think we've gotten to the end of this. You've got something else?
Yes. We are. I think yes.
We're at the end of it.
Yes, we are. We are into the rope of this episode.
You are about to fall asleep over there. I can tell.
See.
Okay, I'm giving this movie an 8.5.
Really?
Yes. This is a movie that, for me anyway, the comedy bits trump any problems I have with the film because
Agreed.
When I'm watching, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just, this is a funny thing. And the reason I had to come up with these 3 things is because I'm having to look at the movie critically for our review.
Yes.
If I was sitting here watching the movie like we were a month ago, with a bunch of friends, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, I watch this and I'm having a good time and we're all laughing. We're all saying, that's what you need in life is a theme song guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. It's a fun movie. 8.5. The only reason I'm knocking any points off of it is because, the only glaring issue that even I noticed when I was watching it, even though I didn't have it in my dislikes, there is no one here but the characters.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think of that. I don't even think of that as much of a detriment as you did, because it's like, okay, yeah, this is a stage production put in that was animated, essentially.
Right.
I can live with this. But anyway.
Yeah, I will give it an 8.
Okay.
I'll give it an 8. It, like you said, it's comedy gold. It's fun to watch. You just kind of, you pseudo turn your brain off. It's just more like, this is a fun movie. It does have some world building problems, definitely, with a very empty world of people.
Yes.
When you have our village chief who is going back to a very empty village.
Yes,
and
that's supposed to be full of people that he's worried about.
Exactly.
How he's going to tell everybody that they're going to get kicked out.
Yeah,
it's like, who are you going to tell? The 2 old geezers playing checkers down at the bottom of the hill? Who cares?
Yeah, that's true. But either way, yeah, I feel like it's a fun comedy romp that's just funny to watch. It's like you said, it's got some good gold moments. It's got a good cast. And I enjoy it. It's got its flaws, but it's just a fun movie to watch, and definitely worth watching if you haven't had the opportunity to.
So yeah, our next movie is going to be another Blue Sky. Which will be, I think, technically our second Blue Sky movie?
I believe so.
Because I think the only other one we've done so far is the final Blue Sky production, which was Spies in Disguise.
Yes.
So yeah, the next one we're doing is the Peanuts movie.
Mm-hmm. Love me some Snoopy.
Based on the newspaper comic strip Peanuts by Charles Schultz.
Mm-hmm.
So, join us for that next week.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we will catch you in the next frame. Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
Same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page, where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at GGeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast.
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Heron, where we talk about live-action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L.